Welcome to This Explainer. Okay, today we're unpacking a story that is just absolutely wild. We're going to look at how one single, highly debated courtroom comment sparked a massive viral movement. A movement that, bizarrely enough, ended with a group of giant insects cleaning up a river. So let's dive right into this.
Right? I mean, it literally sounds like the setup to some absurd joke. But this whole sequence of events is a perfect example of the unpredictable power of modern internet culture, especially when it collides head-on with real-world civic engagement. We're going to trace exactly how a standard legal hearing morphed into one of the most unique, unexpected environmental protests we've seen in a really long time.
Section 1. The Courtroom Spark.
So, to get how this all started, we've got to go back to the inciting incident on May 15, 2026. During a Supreme Court hearing, Chief Justice Surya Kant was pulling up a lawyer who kept filing a petition. Now, according to initial reports by news agencies like PTI and LiveLaw, the Chief Justice supposedly used some pretty striking language, comparing some unemployed youth and activists who attack the system to cockroaches and parasites. And, well, as you can probably guess, in our hyper-connected world, those reported words spread like wildfire. Now hold on, to be totally fair and impartial here, we really need to look at what happened the very next day. The Chief Justice immediately issued a super strong clarification. He explicitly stated that he was misquoted by a section of the media. He explained that he was solely talking about individuals who entered professions like law or media using fake, bogus degrees, not the youth in general. Actually, he made a point to emphasize that the youth are the absolute pillars of a developed India.
Section 2. The Weight of Words.
But, despite that incredibly prompt clarification, the initial reported remarks had already sent shockwaves through political and social circles. The toothpaste was basically out of the tube. People started debating not just the intent, but the actual historical weight of the words themselves. Analysts drew this fascinating historical parallel with the word parasite. Back in 1954, India's first Prime Minister Jawaharlal Nehru famously used parasite to criticize wealthy zamindars, the landlords and royalty who lived off the labor of others. Critics pointed out the contrast between that top-down critique of the ultra-wealthy in the 50s versus this modern, reported usage which felt directed downward at the unemployed and activists.
And some commentators neutrally pointed out that specific terms like cockroach and parasite just carry incredibly heavy historical baggage. They brought up grim international precedents to explain exactly why this language triggered such a huge, visceral public reaction. For instance, they cited the 1994 Rwandan tragedy where radio stations systematically used the word for cockroaches, or the use of parasites in state media in 1930s Germany. The core argument here was really about how dehumanizing language completely regardless of the speaker's intent historically impacts a society's most vulnerable people.
Section 3. Birth of a Satire. While the experts were busy debating constitutional history and op-eds, the internet did exactly what the internet does best. It took the outrage, completely flipped it on its head, and turned it into a massive, highly viral, satirical meme. Just look at the sheer speed of this rapid escalation timeline. A former political social media strategist named Abhijit Deepka launched the Cockroach Junta Party, or CJP. The initial remark happens on May 15th. The CJP website is up and running by the 16th. By May 19th, they hit over 100,000 signups. And then, by the 20th, they are literally out physically cleaning a river. Under this genius tagline, voice of the lazy and unemployed, the CJP leans so hard into self-deprecating humor. Get this, their official eligibility criteria? You had to be unemployed, lazy, chronically online for at least 11 hours a day, and possess the ability to rant professionally. By completely embracing the insult, they rapidly gathered this massive, disillusioned online following who finally felt seen by the irony of it all.
Section 4. The Underlying Frustrations.
So, was this all just one giant internet prank? Actually, no, because right underneath all those layers of irony and memes lay very real, very urgent structural issues that were driving the whole movement. Consider this staggering number, 29.1%. That represented India's graduate unemployment rate at the time. To put that into perspective, it's 9 times higher than the unemployment rate for folks who never even attended school. That harsh reality explains exactly why the CJP's satirical message wasn't just funny, it was deeply resonant for over 100,000 young people.
The movement basically became a lightning rod for all these broader anxieties. Think about what was happening right then. You had nationwide protests over the NEET medical exam paper leaks. There were growing, vocal concerns about income inequality and wealth concentration. Plus, there was this general, lingering feeling among the youth that the space for public dissent and right-to-information activism was shrinking. The CJP even went as far as releasing a real 5-point manifesto addressing these exact issues.
What's really fascinating here is how fast the lines blurred between internet culture and traditional politics. What started as an internet spoof was almost instantly co-opted by serious political figures. TMC MPs like Mahua Moitra publicly voiced support, and Samajwadi Party chief Akhilesh Yadav even tweeted BJP Banam CJP, framing it as a direct contest ahead of the upcoming elections in places like Uttar Pradesh. Politicians clearly recognized that this meme had tapped into a highly valuable, highly motivated demographic.
Section 5. From memes to movement.
But if you thought politicians chiming in on Twitter was the climax of this story, you would be wrong. Because the most surprising ripple effect wasn't political posturing at all. It was the bizarre, yet crazy effective act of physical civic engagement. Totally rejecting the idea that they were just lazy kids complaining online, young volunteers in Delhi took the cockroach label literally. They bought oversized insect costumes, zipped themselves in, grabbed garbage bags, and marched right down to the banks of the highly polluted Yamuna River.
And they didn't just pick a random spot. They chose the Yamuna for a really good reason. They wanted to highlight a severe, long-standing environmental crisis. Just look at this data. A mere 22-kilometer stretch of the Yamuna River in Delhi, which is just a tiny fraction of its total length, contributes to a massive 80% of its total pollution load, mostly from untreated sewage and industrial waste. It was absolutely brilliant. Through this visually striking and, of course, highly shareable performance art, they basically short-circuited the controversy. They took a heated, abstract political and legal debate and redirected it into a physical act of environmental cleanup. Passers-by were stopping, filming them, and those videos flooded the internet. They proved that they weren't just attacking the system, they were literally out there cleaning it up.
So as we wrap up this explainer, we're left with a pretty massive question to ponder. We've seen how quickly a debated remark can become a meme, and how that meme can become a political talking point. But what happens when the next generation continues to weaponize satire to force genuine, real-world action? The Cockroach Jansa Party showed us that sometimes the absolute most effective way to clean up a mess is to just own the joke. It leaves you wondering, as our digital and physical worlds keep merging, will becoming the internet's biggest punchline soon be the prerequisite for enacting real change?